Of course, there is one news story this week that was truly baffling in all ways, shapes, and forms, and that is the story about the whole kerfuffle about Skyward Sword potentially coming to the Nintendo Switch. So over Thanksgiving weekend, Aonuma made an onstage appearance at the Legend of Zelda musical concert in Osaka, and during which he mentioned but did not confirm a potential Switch version of Skyward Sword. Now, I say mention, but it was sort of a tongue-in-cheek thing, right? The composer had said something about like, oh, doesn't this make you want to play Skyward Sword? And then Aonuma kind of responded to that as like, oh, maybe you could play it on your Switch. But he also very quickly...
it seems pretty, like, remember, this concert has a lot of Zelda games in it,
True.
a lot of music, and it seems kind of funny that they set this for this game.
It's very specific.
Right? Yeah, like,
Well,
I don't think it's a coincidence.
Worry not, because as of this morning, Wednesday, when we're recording this, Eurogamer got a quote that says Nintendo currently has no plans to bring Skyward Sword to the Switch.
At this time.
But
today.
maybe next week.
But what about tomorrow?
Exactly.
Well, here's the thing. Take a trip back in time with me to E3 2016 when Aonuma on record said that the Skyward Sword HD remaster was a definite possibility for Switch, right? So sort of conflicting reports. And I did want to point out, you guys did a pretty good job of this too, but like Nintendo is a very... They're sticklers, right? Like they control their messaging very specifically, and they make sure that they talk about things when they're ready to. And I feel like this particular instance kind of flies in the face of that philosophy, where if Aonuma's out there sort of like making jokes about it, it's like, to me that signifies, well, maybe there is something in the works. My question to you guys is this just Nintendo getting up to their old tricks? And what do you think about Skyward Sword on Switch? And also, why would they bring the worst Zelda to Switch and not a different one?
Okay.
Here we go.
Ready?
So Skyward Sword had a lot of problems. I never finished it because the controls irked me that badly. I hated the controls. It's one of the most well put together stories from a Zelda
This
universe.
guy hates the controls
The
too.
music is great. Yeah, it's like I just don't even know what to do anymore.
Yep.
I would love the opportunity to play this game with regular controls and upgraded graphics, because I never did finish it. And I think it's a story that's worth experiencing, especially in the Zelda universe.
I liked a lot of the characters from this, so I was a little sad that I also never finished it. No, people are like, 2 people in a row still haven't finished this game.
Wow.
Right.
So I was
Couldn't do
actually
it.
in college when this came out, and
Same.
so my Wii was back at home with my family, and so I didn't get to take that with me. And so the only times I got to play it was when I went home, and so I just never got around to finishing it, which is really sad because I made it pretty far.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
I just liked it. Chance.
I enjoyed the game.
Yeah.
I was not in love with a lot of choices for this game. Like the hub world just didn't work for me. I love the exploration aspects of the Zelda game. So Breath of the Wild is the pinnacle. I feel like from that point of view.
Never heard of
and
it.
this one was so compartmentalized, but all the mechanics were really good. Like the flying felt really good. That big boss battle in the sky was truly surprising. The like time bubble element, the desert and the ship and all that kind of stuff was really, really cool. I did not like the art style at all. And a lot of people say they love the art style in
I
this
completely
game.
agree. I didn't like it that much either.
Of anything about whatever this game is called, Skyward Sword, I think that the art style is one of my favorite things.
See?
Like, it looks like a Studio Ghibli film to me.
So
right, like
it was weird because you went from Twilight Princess to this, and it was just kind of jarring.
I think when it first came out,
Ocarina
Ocarina.
Majora to Wind Waker.
Wind Waker
yeah.
is the big change to it, but I like that one.
I think I had the same reaction when it first came out. Like back then, I saw this and it's like, oh, we just got Twilight Princess. It's like dark, gritty, like more realistic Zelda. Why are they going back in the other direction? But now that I look at it,
It's the best of both worlds, right?
I wanted
think
it.
it looks
I would.
fine.
It's a middle ground.
I thought I didn't like the color choices. Like I didn't like that muted watercolor look, and I wish it was as vibrant as Wind Waker and even cel shaded, because it would have looked really good on the Wii. And the Wii was not a powerful piece of hardware, and it shows with this game where we were playing this when we were playing truly beautiful games in HD on other platforms. That was a bummer. But I think actually this game gets a bad rep. It's a lot better than people remember it, and it has some really cool dungeons, some really cool puzzles in it.
I will say that the dungeon design in this game is some of these dungeons are among my favorite, but you and I were talking about it a little bit earlier this week, in that one of the things I said to you is that the moments in this game are fantastic, but overall I sort of have an issue with this game. Obviously, I've critically derided this this game on many episodes of NVC, much to the chagrin of our fandom. But
I want it to be back though. I think when you play it on the Switch, and hopefully they'll do the controls justice with sticks and buttons, so you can play it on the go as well.
Yeah.
I think you'll find a lot to like in this game.
So my hope for this is that they give it the Wind Waker HD treatment, in that they take a look at some of the things that maybe were a decent idea or worked in generations past, but have aged poorly. You can't have this game without dowsing. I mean, that's such an intrinsic.
Don't make me find every
part.
freaking nut in the kingdom.
But like some of the fetch quests could be completely eliminated, and you wouldn't lose anything in the game. You know, there's really late game stuff. I played through this game once, finished it, and then a couple of years later, I went back to play it again. And when I got to the third fetch quest where they flooded the woods and threw all these puzzle pieces out for me to find, it was just like, I don't want to do all this again. Like I already proved to you that I'm the hero of time or whatever. Why do I need to, I don't need to do this again. So
let's do this.
Yeah, but there are things that I really did enjoy about it.
Music
and
too.
Honestly, as hypocritical as this sounds, watching that trailer kind of made me nostalgic for it. Maybe
totally want to play it now. I can tell.
I'll play it again.
I think
the motion controls didn't bug me as much as they bug some people, but like Casey apparently.
I didn't mind them that much.
I really liked the way you could roll a bomb. That was nice.
That was my problem. I kept trying to roll bombs and it kept throwing it instead. And there was no way. I don't know what was wrong with it.
Big news here. Casey DeFreitas bad at bowling.
That must be it. I'm just bad at bowling.
How do you feel about Wii Sports?
I liked Wii Sports.
Any game where you perform the same action twice in a row and only 50% of the time does it what you want it to do, that's a real problem.
Especially in the middle of a boss battle when you have to roll it to do the right thing.
And so I didn't mind when sometimes the sword slash wasn't exact, but like some of those actions like bombing, it should always work because you also get hurt by your bombs if you're not careful.
So one thing I want to point out in this conversation is that as we talk about whatever this potential HD remake could be, we're talking about sticks and buttons controls, right?
I don't know.
The Switch has motion controls.
Yeah.
Like you could very easily control this game with Joy-Con.
I think they would leave that in.
Yeah, I think it might honestly be better implemented this time around. I think the ability of giving players the option to play, traditionally or with motion controls would be kind of interesting. And also, I'd love to see what the ratio of like how people choose, like what that would be.
They definitely would have to spend some time on making it work with sticks and buttons. But remember, old Zelda games like Ocarina of Time, you had control whether you're doing a sideways slash or you could even do the spin attack by rotating the stick and all those things. You could adapt everything. It's just that with some of the areas you wouldn't be able to move and do the action at the same time. Like you can still do the sword like hypnotizing the door googly eyes. You can still do that with a stick, right? No,
I like the door googly eyes. Yeah,
it's from. I think I brought this up before.
Somebody's gonna gift that for sure. You and me doing
in Japanese culture, the way you catch dragonflies is to hypnotize them by moving your finger like that. That's why it's in the Zelda game.
Whoa!
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah,
that's
so
really
like
cool.
the catching thing is you confuse stuff. Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah.
The more you know.
I like that.
Reading Rainbow.
I'm still waiting for a Zelda collection on Switch. I wish that as opposed to a Skyward Sword tease, it was more of an all-encompassing 3D Zelda. We've talked about this sort of ad nauseum, but
that's the bait and switch. They're like, we said we weren't going to do Skyward Sword, but here's your Zelda collection.
Yeah, I mean, if they did Ocarina of Majora, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, and Skyward Sword all in one package, it's 5 games. I'd pay $100 for
the
it.
3D collection and the 2D collection. Please release them.
Oh, gosh,
you think like two separate collections?
Big box. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Because it's too much good for one box.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I could get down with that.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with that.
Okay. One thing we didn't talk about last year, here we are again this week talking about The Legend of Zelda. I mean, if there's anything that this era of NVC will be remembered for, it will be my obsession with Link. But
well, I'm sure a new one is going to be announced in December, so don't worry about it.
He's
think
a great
so?
guy. Like he's a good one to
We're going to talk about this maybe a little bit later if we get there, but I like that as your prediction.
Right?